Welcome to PRISCI-ANTO Educational Academy, Chennai. Today, I'm going to explain the topic geometric distribution. Geometric distribution is discrete distribution. The definition of geometric distribution is probability of x is equal to x, which is equal to q power x into p, where x starts with 0, 1, 2, etc. up to infinity. If x starts with 0, the geometric distribution formula is q power x into p. X starts with 1, 2, 3 up to infinity. We have to use q power x minus 1 into p. So there are two formulas for the geometric distribution. When we will use the geometric distribution, we have to repeat the process until we get the first success. So we have to repeat the process until we get the first success. For example, I want to apply a driving license. So I have to go to the road test. Then only I can get the driving license. I am going to road test. Suppose first trial, first time I failed in the road test. So I have to go next time. Next time also I failed in the road test. So another time I have to go. In the time, if I passed, okay, if I'm getting pass in the road test, so I will get the license. After that, I'll never go to the road test. So until we get the success, we have to repeat our process. So this is the geometric distribution. Okay. The shooting, for example, one person is having gun. He wants to shoot anything. So if he shoots, it targets the person or animal or a tree. Immediately he will stop. Okay. இப்ப ஒருத்தர் கன் வச்சுக்கிறாரு, அவரு ஒருத்தர் ஓடுறாருன்னு வைங்களேன், அவரை நீங்க சுடணும் அப்படின்னா சுட்டுட்டீங்கன்னா என்ன ஆகும்? அதோட நிறுத்திப்பீங்க, அடுத்து சுட மாட்டீங்க. ஒரு டார்கெட் இருக்கு, அந்த மிடில் பாயிண்ட்ல நீங்க ஷூட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா நீங்க என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? சுடுவீங்க. அந்த மிடில் பாயிண்ட்ல படலைன்னா என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? அகைன் யூ ஹேவ் டு ஷூட். அந்த மிடில் பாயிண்ட்ல படலைன்னா அகைன் யூ ஹேவ் டு ஷூட். இந்த மிடில் பாயிண்ட்ல பட்டுருச்சுன்னா நீங்க அதோட ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிப்பீங்க. இதுதான் திஸ் இஸ் ஜியோமெட்ரிக் டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூஷன். ஓகே, இதுக்கெல்லாம் நம்ம என்ன யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம்னா ஜியோமெட்ரிக் டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூஷன் யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். ஸோ until we get the first success, we have to repeat our process. After getting the success, okay, அதோட நம்ம ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிக்கிறோம். So here we are going to study the moment generating function, mean, variance of the geometric distribution. So moment generating function mx of t, it is denoted by MGF and mx of t, which is equal to expectational of e power tx. So expectational of e power tx, there is the formula summation x is equal to 0 to infinity e power tx into p of x. This p of x is the p of x you have to write from the definition of geometric distribution. So summation x equal to 0 to infinity. I have taken 0 to infinity. So which formula I have to use? E power tx into q power x into p. Because I have taken x equal to 0 to infinity. Suppose if I have taken x equal to 1 to infinity, I will use the formula q power x minus 1 into p. Okay. So p I have taken as a common, summation x equal to 0 to infinity, q power x is also Q is also having the power x, e power t is also the power x. So that's why I have taken as a common q e power t power x. Now I am going to apply for x 0 to infinity. So p into q e power t, for x if you apply 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to infinity. So p into q e power t power 0 plus q e power t power 1 plus q e power t power 2 plus etc. So p into q into e power t power 0 is 1 plus q e power t power 1 is q e power t plus q e power t whole square plus etc. So this looks like the formula of 1 minus x whole inverse. 1 minus x whole inverse is equal to 1 plus x square plus x cube plus etc. So therefore 1 plus q e power t plus q e power t square. So it looks like this formula. You can use it. So 1 minus q e power t whole inverse. Okay, p into 1 minus q e power t whole inverse. So x inverse can be written as 1 by x. So this can be written as mx of t is equal to p divided by 1 minus q into e power t. So this is a moment generating function. Mean you can find using the two methods. So I am going to find using the if you are differentiating moment generating function by taking t is equal to 0, you will get the mean. Another method is mean is equal to e of x is equal to summation x into p of x. That is also, we can use the method to get the mean as well as variance. But I have chosen this method. So mean is equal to e of x is equal to differentiation with respect to t, mx of t at the time t is equal to 0, at t is equal to 0. So d by dt, what is mx of t? Just now we have got the value p divided by 1 minus q e power t into t is equal to 0, or else p into 1 minus q e power t whole inverse. So I have written here. So d by dt of p into 1 minus q e power t whole inverse at t equal to 0. So now you have to differentiate it. The differentiation is p is as it is, you have to write minus 1. First you have to write 1 minus q e power t power minus 1 minus 1. So minus 2, because x power n, if we are differentiating x power n, which is equal to x power n plus 1, right? No. So x power n, if we are integrating x power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. X power n, if we are differentiating n x power n minus 1. So here 1 minus q e power t whole inverse. So you can write as minus, because for n there is minus 1. So minus 1 minus q e power t minus 1, because n minus 1 you know. So n is minus 1. So minus 1, 1 minus q e power t power minus 2. So after that, this whole inverse you know. So you have to leave it. So the base is 1 minus q e power t. Power you have to leave. 1 minus q e power t, you have to differentiate again. So 1 minus q e power t, 1 is if you are differentiating 0, minus q e power t if you are differentiating minus q as it is, you have to write e power t. If you are differentiating, you will get e power t at t equal to 0. So p minus 1 minus q e power t can be written as minus 1 minus q plus q. So pq e power t 1 minus q e power t whole power minus 2 at t equal to 0. For t, if you apply 0, you will get e power 0, e power 0. So pq e power 0, 1 minus q e power 0, power minus 2. So pq divided by 1 minus q power 2, because e power 0 is 1. In geometric distribution, in any probability, there will be p plus q is equal to 1. P is success, q is failure. So p plus q should be 1. So p plus q is equal to 1 means 1 minus q is equal to p. So here 1 minus q whole square. So pq divided by p square. 1 minus q is equal to p square. P divided by p square will be 1 by p. So q divided by p. So mean value is equal to q divided by p. So after that, expectation of x square, the same rule, d square divided by dt square, because x square 2 times you have to differentiate. Mx of t, moment generating function, at t equal to 0. Already we have solved, we have differentiated one time. So the result is, before applying t equal to 0, you have to take, because already we have differentiated one time. Here is pq e power t into 1 minus q e power t whole power minus 2. This is one time we have differentiated before applying t equal to 0. This term is one time you have already differentiated. So take this value. So it's enough to solve d by dt one time if we are differentiating, because already we have differentiated one time in e of x. So d by dt of pq e power t 1 minus q e power t whole power minus 2 at t equal to 0. So here pq, there is no t, so that's why I have written as a common e power t into 1 minus q e power t power minus 2. Here you have to use the differentiation d of uv, which is equal to u dv plus v du, or d of uv is equal to u v dash plus v u dash. So keeping e power t as a constant, you have to differentiate 1 minus q e power t power minus 2. Just now I explained you x power n, if you are differentiating n into x power n minus 1. So 1 minus q e power t power minus 2, if you are differentiating, minus 2 into 1 minus q e power t power minus 2 minus 1 into, now you have to leave the power minus 2. Base you have to differentiate 1 minus q e power t. If you are differentiating, you will get 0 minus q e power t. Okay. So already studied in e of x, expectation of x. So keeping e power t as a constant, you have to differentiate 1 minus q e power t power minus 2. Next, plus another one you have to keep as a constant. 1 minus q e power t power minus 2, keeping as a constant, you have to differentiate e power t. So I have done here. Apply t equal to 0. So e power 0 value is 1. So pq e power t minus q minus 2 e power t into minus q e power t. So 2q e power 2t, because e power t base are equal. You can add the power. E power t can be written as e power t plus t, which is equal to e power 2t. So 2q e power 2t, 1 minus q e power t whole power minus 3 plus e power t into 1 minus q e power t minus 2 at t equal to 0. So for t, you have to apply 0. Pq into 2q e power 2t, e power 2 into 0, e power 0 will be 1. So 2q, 1 minus q power minus 3 plus 1 minus q power minus 2. We applied t equal to 0. So pq, 2q, what is 1 minus q? That is p power minus 3 plus 1 minus q power minus 2. 1 minus 2 is p, because the p plus q is equal to 1. P is equal to 1 minus q power minus 2. So pq, 2q divided by p power minus 3 can be written as p 1 divided by p power 3 plus 1 divided by p power 2. So now if you multiply pq with these each term, 2pq, 2pq square, because q into q square divided by p3 plus pq divided by p square. So p divided by p3 will be 1 by p square. So e of x square is equal to 2q square divided by p square plus q divided by p. Next, e of x we have got, e of x square we have got. Next, you have to find the variance. Variance sigma square is denoted by sigma square. Standard deviation is denoted by, you know very well, square root of variance, which is equal to sigma. So variance is equal to sigma square is equal to expectation of x square minus expectation of x whole square. So expectation of x square, we have got the result 2q square divided by p square plus q divided by p minus q divided by p whole square. So 2q square divided by p square plus q divided by p minus q square divided by p square. First term and last term is a 2q square p square minus q square p square. So if you are subtracting, you will get a q square divided by p square plus q by p. So if you are taking LCM, p square in the denominator, numerator is q square plus pq or pq plus q square. P can be written as 1 minus q. So 1 minus q into q plus q square divided by p square. Now you have to multiply 1 minus q into q. If you multiply 1 into q minus q into q. 1 into q is q minus q into q is minus q square plus q square divided by p square. Minus q square plus q square cancelled. So q divided by p square. So variance sigma square is equal to q divided by p square. Okay, so this is the answer. Thank you.